In keeping with a long-held dream of purchasing another church and following a realization that the city center Seventh-day Adventist Church was now overcrowded, a motion to open a new branch was moved and adopted by the church's business meeting on the 2nd of January 2010. After scouting and identification of a church owned by Libon Investments, negotiations to purchase the facility that is located at corner 5th Avenue and Josiah Tongogara Street in Bulawayo were initiated, culminating in the two parties coming up with an agreement of sale on the 16th of February 2010.
For time immemorial, Bulawayo City Center has always wanted to build another church or buy another church. And I think the idea was always that we should be engaged in the business of church planting and decongest City Center Church. Fortunately, during our investigations, we came across what is now known as Beacon of Hope, which was owned by Libon Freight, and we recommended that to the church that we should engage into negotiations and see whether we could buy the church. Negotiations were rather difficult, and we faced certain obstacles which we thought were insurmountable, but when God is there, what you think is impossible becomes possible. The first obstacle was the owner wanted 450,000 cash, and for us there was no way we could buy that church for 450,000. The church was good because we're buying it lock, stock and barrel with chairs and pulpit and everything was there, and he was leaving it for us, but 450,000 was prohibitive. An idea then came up that we should team up with the conference and see whether the conference could agree to partner with us and assist us in buying the church. We knew that at the time they were looking for premises where they could house some of their staff. We then approached conference, and they were quite warm to the idea of partnering us to buy Beacon of Hope, and they gave us a go-ahead to negotiate with the owners, and they said they could pay half of the 300,000, and they could then own half of Beacon of Hope, and us City Center Church would own the other half.
A lot of effort led by the stewardship department in conjunction with other departments were used to raise funds together with the West Zimbabwe Conference in order to purchase the property. Because of total church member participation, the process was a success, thus the keys were handed over to the Seventh-day Adventist Church on the 28th of February 2010.
The flea market came through for us and agreed to pay $2,000 every month as contribution towards the purchase of Beacon of Hope, which meant that the church had to raise the balance of $4,250. Through promotions spearheaded by the stewardship department, the installment of $6,250 was raised every month. Everybody was involved, from eager beavers, ambassadors, women's ministries, AMO. Every facet of the church was involved in the promotions, and everybody owned the idea, and really, I would say God came through for us.
It was excitement on the Sabbath of the 6th of March 2010 as the doors to what was called the City Center Seventh-day Adventist branch were opened for the first time as members congregated there for worship. Indeed, the journey was long and difficult, but through God's leading and members' willingness to follow, the long-held dream became a reality. This new baby in the worldwide church structure went through all the processes of growth, from being a branch to a company. After going through vigorous processes to come up with a name, it was finally settled that an organization to being a church, it would be called Beacon of Hope. When the day finally arrived on the 1st of January 2013, it marked yet another milestone for the young church.
The city of Bulawayo has several Seventh-day Adventist congregations. Most of them have names that are derived from the location of the church. And there are few that have names that do not indicate the placement of the church. One of which is Beacon of Hope SDA Church, which is in the city center. On its organization, the name Beacon of Hope was a name that was given or taken because of the possibilities it offers to the congregants and the community around. Many people have problems and they are looking for at least something that can help them. And they are hopeless and they want to find a place where they can put their hopes and trust. And Beacon of Hope SDA Church offers possibilities for anyone who has a problem, whether it is social, whether it is spiritual, whether it is physiological. This church has proved that there is a possibility and God is there to save souls. It is really a beacon of hope, like the beacons that we see that indicate a point where people can be saved from calamities.
Through a Christ-reliant leadership, the church has managed to find its footing and is now set to better advance the Lord's work. The church will always be grateful to God for the dedicated leadership of several pastors and elders from City Center and Beacon of Hope churches as well as members. Beacon of Hope has grown in leaps and bounds, with members heavily involved in the Lord's work, with excellence, warmth and passion for mission being the driving culture to do and achieve the best for the Maker. A cocktail of programs and activities have been done to date. Various speakers have taken turns to feed the flock of God during Sabbath school, main services, afternoon programs and midweek prayer meetings or seminars and efforts. In a movement to conscientize the church about the importance of living a healthy lifestyle, a Vespers series titled The Balm of Gilead was conducted. Different health specialists shared their knowledge with the church in a program that also included several non-Seventh-day Adventists. The church has successfully managed to conduct Lord's Supper services every quarter, while guest days have also been a regular feature in the church's calendar. The value of the children cannot be overemphasized, as evidenced by specially tailor-made programs that have been organized to suit the little ones' needs. These include child dedications, children's services and the Vacation Bible School VBS. Youths play an integral part in any institution. With Beacon of Hope largely comprising of youths, these current and future church leaders were given various opportunities to learn, grow, participate and fellowship in the Lord's vineyard. This has in turn seen the church recording an increase in the number of married couples as youths have found one another while engaged in ministry. This is testimony that family life is the backbone for any successful church. Beacon of Hope actively participated in the World Church's programs like the 777, Revived by His Word, and Mission to Big Cities, where 16 souls from Beacon of Hope were won to the Lord out of a total of 40 in this evangelism program that also included City Center and Bulawayo East. Pastor Mutseriwa, a Zimbabwean based in Australia, was the guest speaker. One cannot fully say that they've been to Beacon of Hope if they have not listened to the church in song praising the Creator. From the congregational singing, to various groups,
by the Father, through Jesus Christ the Son. We heirs of the kingdom, in the Spirit we are one. We heirs of the kingdom, in the Spirit we are one.
melodies of thanksgiving and worship ascend as sweet incense to the throne of God. The church has laid out a strategic plan that is meant to guide how it operates until 2020. It is hoped that with the leading of the Holy Spirit, Many souls will be won and kept in Christ, while members strengthened in their faith through programs incorporated in this plan.
As we're looking at the composition of the church and the territory, we realize that both the church and our territory is comprised mainly of young professionals. We've got young married couples, adolescents, bachelors and spinsters. And so we felt that in order for us to be relevant as a church, we should focus our programming or our plans on this kind of people. And it was then that we came up with our mission and our vision and our culture. And our mission is, as a church, is to take the Advent message to every family in our territory by meeting them at their point of need. And our vision is to impact every home in our territory by the year 2020. And we said, as a church, we want to have a culture. Our culture is a culture which is comprised of a passion for mission, excellence, warmth, and spiritual growth. As we're thinking about growth, we came up with some variables, and we said that we want to grow membership through baptism and through nurturing, and we want to grow by increasing participation of members in spiritual activities. And then we also said there are quite a number of territorial needs that we want to focus on. The first one is to strengthen spousal and courtship relationships amongst people in our territory. Number two, we want to help parents cope with daily and family life cycle challenges. Then we also say that we would like to help troubled souls find spiritual and physical healing. And also we want to improve personal development, personal, financial, and business know-how of members. And lastly, we want to help our members in time-constrained territory members to understand present truth. So those are the 5 key areas that we decided should inform the programming of our church. And then we say that in order for our church or for our plan to be successful, there are some internal church processes that must take place. Firstly, we must develop infrastructure. Our buildings and our facilities must be able to support our mission. We must ensure that there's a culture of accountability, so reporting of the activities that happen, timeless business meetings to evaluate our work. We also want to improve talent utilization of members. That will be a key variable in us achieving our mission and achieving our strategic goals. We want to improve scheduling of programs. We want to improve the flow of communication within the church, and also ensure that there's a research and development activities that is taking place that will ensure that we measure the success of our plan. So essentially, we have a vision 2020 for Beacon of Hope, Seventh Day Adventist Church, and we are hoping that we can achieve that. And so far, we've managed to participate in the recently ended crusade Mission to Cities, and where we baptized about 16 individuals, and that is something significant as far as achieving our mission is concerned.
With the 22nd of November 2014 being a big day to Beacon of Hope, a lot of work was put in place by the church members who set aside their busy schedules and braved the unfriendly weather conditions to refurbish the house of the Lord. Some offered their services morally and physically, while others assisted financially to make the day a memorable one. The refurbishments made to Beacon of Hope from August 2012 to date are in the region of $25,000. Being a young church, a lot is still to be learned, but already new and old church members have encountered Christ and total fellowship at Beacon of Hope.
When we first came to Beacon of Hope, what we liked was the fact that it's an English-speaking church, and then we heard the singing, which was absolutely phenomenal, and the people were quite welcoming. What's interesting is that I remember, even though it was my first Sabbath, I was able to participate in Sabbath school, for example, and I just felt at home. And as I've grown to know the people, there's one thing I need to point out about the members of Beacon of Hope, which I actually like. They are very intelligent and well educated, both academically and spiritually. So you can find yourself engaged in proper debates, whether spiritually or we're talking business and things like that. And it's a very young church, very dynamic. We've got people from all sorts of backgrounds. And one thing I like about Beacon of Hope is that no one will judge anybody, and that is the honest truth. You kind of feel at home wherever you are, whatever your background is, whatever your challenges are. Nobody has ever been prejudiced, maybe because of disability or they're not working or stuff like that. And it's a great place even for kids to grow. Fantastic programs, and so it's a great family place as well.
I was recently baptized on the 18th of September this year. I'm probably the newest member of Beacon of Hope. I'm not regretting in making such a choice to come to Beacon of Hope. It's been a great experience, and every Sunday I come here, it's like a new experience of meeting new people, getting to know each other, as we fellowship together. And I am so grateful that I'm here, and I find it interesting and blessing. I enjoy everyone around me, and I'm so grateful for that. And I want to thank the Lord for that.
The big day finally came on the Sabbath of the 22nd of November 2014 as Beacon of Hope was a hive of activity. Members, dignitaries and guests who all thronged the church were all smiles as it was being dedicated to be a house of the Lord. The church doors were officially opened by way of cutting of the ribbon by the president of the West Zimbabwe Conference, Pastor J.B. Spanda.
We have built unto the Lord this exalted building. True or false? Amen. And therefore we are inviting him to come and dwell in it forever. Amen.
As the church members marched in, being led by the conference leadership, local pastor and elders, it told the story of the Lord ushering his children into his house. Also present during the service were conference leadership and their spouses, church institution workers and delegates from City Center Church. Speaker after speaker hailed the work done by various church members in making the day a success. They were also urged to understand the significance of the ceremony and to make sure that the house of the Lord is reverenced at all times as it is the habitation of the Lord.
Allow me on behalf of West Zimbabwe Conference to express our gratitude to all you members, to the pastor, to the elders, and all the various stakeholders for making this day a reality within a short space of time.
What is temple dedication? Temple dedication is a moment whereby you consecrate a particular building. Consecration means setting apart for a holy purpose. That's why perhaps as we begin this service, as we crown this service of dedication, we need to understand what it is that we have done. At some point I heard somebody saying, our church. We welcome you to our church. We have built this church. May I say that it's very true to the point of dedication. The moment we dedicate, the moment we consecrate, the moment we set apart, it ceases to be our church. It begins to be his church.
Time then came for the dedication certificate to be handed over to Beacon of Hope Church by Elder Malufu. Mrs. Mhlanga, the church clerk, received it on behalf of Beacon of Hope.
This certificate of dedication has been placed at Beacon of Hope Seventh-day Adventist Church to certify and declare that this building has been dedicated to the proclamation of the everlasting gospel of Jesus Christ. From today, this building has become the property of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination and is one of the sisterhood of churches throughout the whole world looking for the soon return of Jesus Christ to this world and setting up of his eternal kingdom. This dedication took place on the 22nd of November 2014. It is signed by the President of Western Conference, the Executive Secretary of Western Conference, and the Church Development Director.
Pastor Tinjovo, the local pastor, was full of praise for all those who laid a hand in making the day a success.
This was my first experience to have a church dedication within my work as a minister. I've had many church buildings where I have been involved in building them, but at the time of their dedication I will be in a new district, and this experience has been a fulfillment in that regard. But it is not like one man's accomplishment. It's an accomplishment that was a result of cooperation from many other people and other ministers. So it's an experience that we share, and I'm happy to share with those ministers who were part of this project. One of which I can mention Pastor Tisbanda, my predecessor. But unfortunately he could not make it today. I want to praise God for his contribution towards this project. Together with the conference, the union, all the personnel that was involved, those leaders did quite a splendid job in facilitating the buying of the church, and also in making sure that the process of dedication went well. Members of Beacon of Hope Church worked very, very well and very hard. Their contributions were immense, and they did a splendid work.
With the renovations that have been done to date, he reiterated that a lot of work still lay ahead for Beacon of Hope to meet the set standards.
If we stop here, it will not be well. My plans for this church, as you can see, there are many other things that we need to do to complete the work on the grounds. We want to put up a tank for water and drill a borehole and put a boundary wall that will be to the standard of this church. We want also to buy the wall where the children can worship, and the offices for the pastor and other departments like women's ministries, Dorcas, and the health center. These offices that are owned by the conference, we will make a request to buy them. If the conference accepts, the church is ready to pay for them, and we will be grateful. The other plans that are coming up, the church is a young church in terms of the time it was organized. It also comprised of many young couples and a few elderly couples, and most of the people here are youths. So since this church has that kind of demographics, it needs to continue growing in terms of evangelism.
There is now need that maybe we should be splitting the church soon, not later.
Church members were also reading from the same script as their pastor.
One thing that I got today the most was that in life you have to be determined to see things go through and come to an end. What impacted me the most today was the fact that in as much as I have played a little role in whatever has come to the fruition of this church today, the impact is that I've got a greater role that I ought to play for God's children and for God's work. Little is much, yes, when God is in it, but we need to put the best for God if we can put the best in other circles.
As this church has been dedicated to the Lord to accommodate everyone, to be a refugee for each and every soul that seeks salvation, I hope that, as the name Beacon of Hope says, we'll continue to be a beacon.
This day only but serves as a commissioning of Beacon of Hope to pull full steam ahead in finishing the work assigned it by the Lord himself. The doors are always open to those that intend to join this bandwagon of God's children who are inspired to excellence in order to be a model of Adventist standards. It's my house, it's your house, and it's our house. Beacon of Hope Seventh-day Adventist Church, the warmest church south of the pyramids.